Welcome to Choosing Acceptance podcast with your host, Marie Mason. I am here to share some success stories and tips on how to overcome your learning disability so that you can turn your talents into a career. And I love to inspire children and parents and teachers with learning disabilities to go beyond their limits so that they can make a bigger impact in the world. Schedule a call to become a guest on our show at calendly.com/Marie V. Mason. Everyone, and welcome to the Choosing Acceptance podcast with your host, Marie Mason. I am so excited to have our video editor and co-host, Ebuka Jestoc, join us on this week's episode. So our podcast is all about helping adults that are college age and above to embrace their learning difficulties or disabilities, whichever you prefer. And we help adults with learning difficulties go beyond their limits and make a bigger impact in the world. We provide resources to help you overcome your learning difficulties and turn your talents into a career, as well as helping you to define who you are. Today's topic is all about understanding motor skills disorder. That is, understanding motor skills disorder. First, let me ask Ebuka, how are you doing this week?
I am doing great. Thanks for asking. How are you doing, Marie? Let's get started on the top tips of the week. I am curious to learn more about motor skills disorder. How do you define motor skills disorder?
I am great as well. Thanks for asking, Ebuka. I would be delighted to define what that is for you. Motor skills disorder is a developmental disorder that affects coordination and movement and posture in children. It is also known as motor coordination disorder or motor dyspraxia. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. Anyway, hopefully that clears that up.
Great definition, which leads me to the next question. What are the 3 common causes of motor skills disorder?
Great follow-up question. I would like to try to explain it as simply as possible for you. Motor skills disorder is also known as a developmental coordination disorder that affects a person's ability to coordinate. And the 3 main causes are 1, genetic factors. So 2, brain damage or abnormal development in the brain. And then 3, environmental factors such as exposure to toxins or chemicals or a lack of early childhood stimulation. Basically, those are all complex conditions that require a real evaluation and then support from a healthcare provider. So go to your doctor if you suspect that someone has motor skills disorder and make sure that you get early intervention as much as possible.
Before I bring Marie Mason back to answer more questions, here is a word from one of our sponsors. We will be right back after this commercial break.
I'm Marie Mason. I am a business strategy coach. I run a mastermind group for online business owners where our members get to network, collaborate, and learn from one another in an exclusive environment. Our business academy takes a modern approach to business solutions by incorporating the latest technology and strategies to ensure that you hire a qualified team to handle your workflows.
Welcome back to the Choosing Acceptance podcast. Meet Marie Mason, a business strategy coach for Business Solutions Academy. She empowers purpose-driven creative business owners to streamline their workflows, enhancing productivity and fostering teamwork. In addition, she helps you to establish a strong business framework without feeling overwhelmed. Your vision is important, and she is here to help you organize the steps needed to achieve it. Today's topic is on understanding motor skills disorder. Welcome back, Marie. Here is the next question. What are the 3 symptoms of motor skills disorder?
Great question. There are 3 common symptoms of motor skill disorder that can affect the ability to process visual, spatial information. That's like visual in space, it's like they can visualize in space. So basically it's a challenge with planning complex motor activities, being able to produce fluid handwriting, for example. Like one of the challenges I had growing up was handwriting. Was awful as a child, and it was literally a struggle. And I don't think I was diagnosed with this per se, but I do know that sometimes we can cross over different difficulties in different, you don't have to be just one difficult learning disability. You can have several different ones involved. And one of the things I learned was that sometimes for people with motor skills disorder, I've seen this in my classroom. I've also seen this with myself sometimes. Was growing up, sometimes it was hard writing it, holding a number 2 pencil, for example, or even a pen. Sometimes they weren't really designed properly. So it wasn't a nice, comfortable fit to hold. And sometimes we had to use those little things, rubber things that you put on the pencil and kind of make it easier for you to grip them. So that's something very simple and expensive. You probably pick something like that up at the dollar store, for example, or some places like that. But anyway, long story short, any office places sells office supplies like that, then you can find them. But they were the great little grippers that you can just put on your pencil and you can have them grip it. And it was much easier on the hands, because if you were writing a lot, like in elementary school, we wrote a lot with number 2 pencils, because in the 70s, I didn't have a computer at the time. That didn't come out to high school. So that came out at the early 1980s, I think, is when we started really seeing computers being used in schools. And still had to use pencil and pen back then too. But anyway, I see that children use computers more in classrooms, especially my son. So in 2024, it's a little different than 1970s and 1980s. However, in case someone cannot use a writing utensil like a pen or a pencil, then find ways to take care of that. It may be accompanied by a history of early motor skills development delays. Sometimes you can find causes like, symptoms, not causes, but symptoms like clumsiness, forgetfulness, and difficulty with hand-eye coordination and dexterity. So dexterity is like having the fingers being nimble, right? And hand-eye coordination is being able to write and draw and paint and ride a bike and that kind of stuff, just to give you some examples. So children with this disorder may have trouble using utensils like forks, knives, pens, pencils, etc. They might drop items frequently and then have accidents due to motor planning difficulties. They might also struggle with a pen gripping, like I said, and writing. And so that's why I suggested those little pen rubber things, because they're easier to grasp. It's easier to grasp for them to grasp the pencil if they have something that's more comfortable to grab onto. Because I'll be honest, I used to have to write a lot, like I said, when I was growing up. And those number 2 pencils are not the most comfortable things to grip for long periods of time. So if you have to write a lot, whether it's a pen or a pencil, there are ways to make it more comfortable, and they're not that expensive. So anyway, that's just a few tips on the 3 common symptoms. Plus, I gave you more extra information, but it's helpful to have solutions, right? So
Great information. What are the 3 solutions to help people with motor skills disorder?
Love it. Great. Love this part of the questions. I'm just having a tongue-tied moment today, folks. I'm so sorry. But anyway, here are the 3 simple solutions. There are the following, or they can include occupational therapy, physical therapy, and speech therapy, because they all kind of are related to this disorder, this difficulty. So occupational therapy helps children develop the skills needed for daily living, such as dressing, eating, grooming. Physical therapy helps children to improve their gross motor skills, such as walking, running, and jumping. And then speech therapy is pretty obvious, but it also helps children to improve their communication skills, such as speaking, listening, and understanding. Hopefully that simplified that piece of it for you. I tried to make it easier to understand because some of these medical terms can be kind of techy, and difficult.
I did not know there were so many solutions. What 3 resources are available for people with motor skills disorder?
Okay, so there's some 3 resources that are available for motor skills disorder. There's these places I would encourage you to go and reach out to if you know somebody or suspect somebody with this particular kind of disorder or difficulty. The American Occupational Therapy Association, the American Physical Therapy Association, and the American Speech and Language and Hearing Association are all great resources for finding therapists who specialize in treating motor skills disorder. An additional resource is the National Institute of Neurological Disorders, and also they help provide information on motor skills disorders. Okay, so I think I have read it wrong. I'm trying to make sure I have it correct. So it's called the last one is National Institute of Neurological Disorders and Stroke. So sometimes these motor skills disorders come from having a stroke in adults. So, and actually in all ages, because you can have a stroke at any age, but it's more prevalent in people with or adults. So here's some tips. Additionally, go to that for additional information, and they can give you some information on motor skill disorders and other neurological disorders. And neurological disorders are with the nerves. They're not bone related. They're not in the head. They're actual nerve damage. For example, when I broke my wrist in 2018 and I got therapy for it, if you see how my right hand, and here's the front view and the back view, and you see how, and the side view, and you see how the thumb and the 3 middle fingers are all in much better shape. You can practically do almost straight, and the pinky is a little bent. So that is considered a neurological disorder, not a bone problem. So that is something where probably a physical therapist that specializes in neurological disorders that would have to go in and help or a physical therapist probably would be another one that would be a best person to talk to. And someone that specifically specializes in the hand in this particular case, and also works with neurological disorders, because they can help you, give you exercises to help you straighten it out. And sometimes they can also give you assistive, not necessarily tech, but assistive kind of resources that help you with that as well.
Wow, there are so many great resources in your country. What is the main takeaway tip that our audience can apply now?
I agree. Our U.S. has an amazing amount of resources in our country, but so many people are not aware of what's out there. That's one of the reasons why the podcast is here, to help you guys be aware of some of those resources. And that's why I also have the Facebook group as well. Oh, and I love your next question, which is the main takeaway for our tip for our audience today, is that early intervention is key to anything that you're dealing with. If you suspect that a child has motor skill disorder, it is really important to seek help as soon as possible to get them to overcome that challenge. And with the right therapy and support. Children with motor skills disorders can learn to improve their coordination skills and lead to happy and healthy lives. And in conclusion, motor skills disorders is a developmental disorder affecting children's coordination of movement and posture. For example, I showed you about my pinky finger, how it's kind of bent out of shape because I wasn't able to completely straighten it out after my arm broke in 2018. Well, my wrist was broken here in 2018, and I haven't been able to completely get this to be straightened out. So with this pinky finger. So, and part of that was as much as I tried to do the therapy that I was given at home, because I was able to get the other four fingers on this hand fairly straight, and I've been able to get my grip back for the most part. It does make it harder to grip some things. So I feel like I'm a little more clumsier sometimes than usual, so I drop things a little more. So that's just an example. But I have seen it where it could be very detrimental for people and they feel so embarrassed because they can't do some of the things they used to do because they're neurologically are having trouble with their motor skills. So there's the and these are the fine motor skills, and the gross motor skills are like running, jumping, and hiking and walking even. And, it's just basic things that we sometimes take for granted. And when you lose that skill set, it can really be debilitating, and it can affect someone's ego. It can affect someone's social emotional development as well, because it's hard to be normal in a public when you're dealing with little things, because people pay attention to that sometimes and they forget that you're human, and sometimes they treat you differently. So here's the thing: treat people normal, treat people with respect, and understand that those conditions can be helped, and you just have to go be proactive and find the right kind of help for yourself. It could be physical therapy. Sometimes it could be hearing and language, speech and language and therapy. It could be motor skills kinds of therapy. I mean, there's so many different kinds of therapies out there that can help you with it. And I already gave you a whole bunch prior to this conversation, so I'm rambling. So next question, Ebuka, so we can stay on track.
Do you have any gifts for our audience today?
Okay, great question. I love the gifts because it's really important for us to stay connected. So let's encourage you to go join us on our free Choosing Acceptance Facebook group and grab our latest podcast episodes. More than will be added in the next couple months. Sorry, I've just been behind on that project because I'm in the process of packing and moving, and February is the month that we're going to be moving at the end of the month. So that's in 2024. So I apologize for being a little behind because I had spent several months trying to get ready for this move. So I apologize. But anyway, long story short, that's one place to go to for resources. It's a great, Choosing Acceptance podcast. It's a great community. If you also are looking for a supportive community mixed with teachers, professionals, and parents who either have learning disabled or difficulties, children of all ages, the parents usually have that, or they work with that kind of age type of group, I really encourage you to join our private Facebook group for more additional resources and so forth and support. I will be posting some of those resources in that group in the next couple of months. But again, I am going to be a little slow because, again, we're moving and it's going to be a little difficult to kind of get that all done in the month of February, but I'll try to get it done in March for you. The next resources that I have available for you is I really want to mention the supporter community. You need to join the Bubble Bears books membership for that information. Trying to build a community for our teachers and parents so that they can work, communicate with each other. Next one is Trailblazers Mastermind Community is a group on Facebook that you can go and network and grow your business. If you have specific, just don't share any links to your websites. Just message people personally on that one, just because I don't want a whole lot of that in the threads to monitor. Just really focus on really networking and adding value into our group would be great. It's all about networking properly. Okay. And then last question I have is for our audience is, ever wonder what it'd be like to see the world through the dyslexic child's eyes? Well, I'm the author of Bubble Bear's Special Problem, and this book destigmatizes learning difficulties in order to provide a better understanding for their learning process. It helps children to overcome their fear of learning difficulties or disabilities so that you can contribute their talents and contribute their talents by bringing awareness on how children should be treated in and out of the classroom. As much as I have said those lines, I apologize profusely for fumbling on them. I have been really busy on calls all week, and I think my brain is just fried, if anyone can relate. So with that, we want to thank you for listening to our podcast. And remember, we don't have to be perfect to produce a podcast. So I'm not editing every single thing out. Just being real and myself. So you can understand that if I can do a podcast with all my difficulties, you can too. So don't forget to subscribe and don't forget to like and comment on our page, and tune in next time for more informative content every week. Please have a great week, everyone. And Ebuka, please close out this week's episode. Thank you so much for being here. I've enjoyed it. Y'all have a good one. Cheers.
Thank you for tuning in to the Choosing Acceptance podcast. We explored ways to make them feel valued, adjust our communication style, show interest in their passions, create a sensory-friendly environment, and provide support and accommodations. Don't forget to check out our offers on YouTube and Marie's book on Amazon. Join us next time as we tackle learning disabilities and achieving success. Like, share, subscribe, and follow us on YouTube and Facebook. Until then, this is Ebuka Jestoc and Marie Mason signing off. Have a great week, everyone.
My name is Marie Mason. I am the author of Bubble Bear Special Problem. And this book destigmatizes learning disabilities in order to provide a better understanding of their learning process. It helps children to overcome their fear of learning disabilities so that they can contribute their talents by bringing awareness to how children should be treated in and out of the classroom. If you would like more to learn about this book, then go to Amazon.com and check out Bubble Bear's Special Problem by Marie Mason.